not a jack of all trades and a master of none.
The windows, I believe, are like the jewels to your house.
We're masters of what we do. We do doors, we do windows, and that's it.
One of the biggest return on your investments on a home is replacing the windows.
Look, if you need it done, let's get it done.
Are you trying to figure out how to replace your wood windows? Today, I'm going to talk to you about 5 things that might be wrong with your windows right now. If you have enough of these, it might be time to start looking at replacing rather than repairing. I'm Drew. I'm with Replacement Window Center of Tennessee, and if any of these are problems that you're having right now, leave us a comment and let us know what you're planning on doing about it. First up is rot. Wood windows rot. Actually, the newer they are, in my experience, I've found that they tend to rot a little bit more quickly than a lot of your older windows. Some of the oldest windows that I've seen actually have wood that's in pretty decent shape, whereas I've seen windows pulled out in the last 20 years that are rotted to the bone. So just because you might have newer wood windows, don't assume that they're never gonna rot. And one of the biggest factors that goes into that is whether or not they're sealed properly. A lot of newer wood windows, generally they are either clad around the frame with like an aluminum or a vinyl or something like that, and then around the trim, the brick mold basically that goes around what you probably think of as the window. In a lot of cases, that over time, especially on older windows, we see this a lot. They have wrapped that as well, usually also with a vinyl or aluminum wrap. And if the person who installed it didn't necessarily seal it right, or if it didn't hold up well over time, there's a lot of cases where you can see moisture get in underneath that wrap, and you'll never know it because it's covered up until one day, you see some water start to seep through your drywall, and then, it's a little too late at that point. You got a much bigger problem on your hands. And that's why it's so important when you're having new windows installed to make sure that they install a well-fitted, well-sealed wrap or cladding around the frame of the window to make sure that doesn't happen to you over time and lead to some pretty devastating structural issues. Next up, we're going to talk about single pane glass. And you might be thinking, Drew, I have single pane glass. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. Well, for one, the most obvious one is it's a single pane of glass. You're probably losing more energy than you would think out your window every month, and that energy for most people translates to money. So you're paying a lot more on your energy bills than you should because you're using a very, very outdated, early 1900s, late 1800s technology called a single pane of glass, when nowadays, for the past 30, 40 years, in fact, most people use double, if not 3 panes of glass. Oftentimes it's insulated with a gas that stops hot and cold air from getting in from the exterior and stops your energy that you're paying for from getting out of your house. Not to mention, a single pane of glass is generally pretty easy to break, which does present a little bit of a safety and security hazard, along with something else we'll talk about here in a few minutes. Next is something you might not think of as part of your window, but if you have a wood window of a certain age in certain areas, it's actually pretty likely that you have one, and that is a storm window. Now, storm windows do reduce the chance that your likely single pane wood window is going to get broken due to storm damage, hail damage, a tree, you name it, baseball, whatever. And they do protect it from a certain amount of weathering over time. But one of the biggest problems, for me anyway, with a storm window is that they do tend to detract and cover up the original intended architectural look of the windows. You might not think about it, but your windows are one of the most noticeable features of the exterior of your home. They're generally, if they're designed properly and with intent, to be something that is complementary to the overall look of the exterior of your home. Let me put it to you this way. It's kind of like taking a really, really beautiful phone and putting a really, really thin, like OtterBox case or something like that protects it a little, not a lot, like it could still get broken, but covering up, the way that the phone was originally intended to be designed, and then that phone's still, potentially breaking over time anyway. Whereas more modern phones may not necessarily need that much protection, and you can actually show off the way that they look and feel, the way that they were originally designed. Side note, don't put your phone out in a hailstorm without a case or anything like that. This was just a metaphor. Phones are not as durable as modern windows, not our windows anyway. Don't put your iPhone 13 out in a storm. It's just not a great idea anyway. Hey, and if your windows are having problems in Tennessee, give us a call at 615-560-7590, and we'll give you a free estimate for what it would cost to have our high-quality, low-maintenance windows installed in your home. There's no obligation whatsoever. We go through the design process with you, and we make sure that we're putting something in that's going to add value to your home long-term that you're going to be happy with for the rest of the time that you own that home. And actually, the cool thing is when you call, if if you tell them that Drew sent you from YouTube, they're currently giving free installation for anybody that calls with the number that I give you there. Let them know I sent you, get new windows, free installation. Sounds good to me. Let's get back. Next, this topic is pretty general, but something that those storm windows may have covered up over time is just wear and tear due to a lack of upkeep and maintenance over time that is necessary with most, if not all, wood windows over a period of time. Specifically, if you have storm windows, those are kind of difficult to get off and on, to, you know, repaint, reseal, do any type of really exterior maintenance at all. So in a lot of cases, you'll see things like, you know, chipping in the grills that are going to be between the windows. You've got, you know, just wear and tear on the paint. You've got potential rot that may go unchecked, all kinds of different things. They do tend to degrade over time. Wood windows require a lot of maintenance and upkeep to maintain their original look, feel, operation, everything that goes with owning that type of product. And last but not least, we talked a little bit about safety and security already with single pane of glass, but I'm going to bring that back with something that a lot of people don't really pay enough attention to, in my opinion, and that is the locking mechanism, the locks on your windows. And this can kind of present itself in a lot of ways. I see locks completely gone, like they've broken off over time and people just haven't, you know, thought to replace them, or they, you know, let's say that the, you know, the sash of the window is not quite meeting where it should be because, you know, the material has expanded or contracted over time, and it's very, very difficult to lock, so that a lot of people just wind up not locking their windows at all. In fact, I even see it on some newer vinyl windows. The material may not be the same size or shape as it was when it was originally put in, so, you know, you have to really, really push down to, you know, try to get it locked, and that's not great, because then you're just going to go, you know, leaving your windows unlocked. You may, you know, get air infiltration inside. You may get small bugs from it not being completely sealed. A lot of things can go with it, but that's not something you just see with older windows. You see it on all kinds. So make sure your windows are locked. If anything else your windows are having problems with, leave a comment. Let me know. I might be able to address it in a future video and help some people out. In the meantime, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You'll be the next to know when we upload anything new. And thanks for watching. See you next time.